The void trembled as thousands of alien ships surrounded Earth. Their formation blotted out the stars. Their weapons glowed with silent menace. Every major city had its defense grid active. But even the combined power of Earth's fleets looked small beside the great silver armada that had arrived without warning. Above the planet's orbit, the United Galactic Council's command vessel, the Orion Prime, hung like a silent judge, its hull shimmering with the faint blue of energy shields capable of splitting moons. Admiral Rafe Carson stood on the bridge of the human flagship, vigilant. The holoscreens displayed countless red icons representing enemy ships. "They're not here to talk," he muttered, his voice low. The tactical officer glanced back at him. "Orders, sir?" "Hold fire," Carson replied. "Let them make the first mistake." His calm tone hid the storm behind his eyes. They all knew what was happening. The Galactic Council had summoned Earth to stand trial, accused of aggression, of breaking cosmic laws, of existing as something too unpredictable to be allowed to grow stronger. But instead of a delegation, they sent a fleet. A message pulsed through the commnet. The alien voice was soft, musical, and full of disdain. "Humans of Earth, you have violated Council Regulation 17 by weaponizing forbidden graviton technology. You will power down your defense grid and surrender your leaders for judgment. Non-compliance will result in immediate cleansing." Carson's jaw tightened. "They think they can scare us," he said. "Patch me through." When his image appeared on the alien screens across the fleet, he spoke slowly, clearly. "This is Admiral Carson of the Terran Defense Command. You come here claiming judgment. But Earth bows to no tribunal that points guns instead of arguments. If you wanted peace, you should have come unarmed." The alien voice replied coldly. "Peace is earned through obedience. Your species has none." Then, without warning, the alien armada shifted. Beams of light converged in the upper atmosphere, slicing through clouds, creating massive energy distortions. Earth's defense satellites scrambled, intercepting data, calculating trajectories. "Incoming fire detected," the sensor chief yelled. Carson turned toward the viewport. "Activate shield harmonics. Phase 4. "Sir, that's experimental." "Do it." The moment the alien beam struck, Earth's defense barrier flared, rippling with color. For 1 second, everyone on both sides thought the shield would collapse. But then something extraordinary happened. The alien energy was absorbed, redirected, turned back through the upper orbit, scattering their own formation. The Orion Prime shook. Alien officers shouted in disbelief. "Impossible." Their world redirected our plasma arrays. Inside the Vigilant, the bridge erupted in quiet awe. The engineer whispered, "They thought we were defenseless." Carson gave a small smile. "Let them think again." The attack stopped. Across the void, the alien fleet held position, recalculating. On the central monitor, a council insignia appeared, a ring of stars around a single blazing eye. The voice that came next was not from the fleet's admiral, but from something greater. The speaker of the Galactic Council. "Humanity," it said, in a deep, resonant tone that filled the air. "Your planet is not on trial for defense, but for defiance. You reject unity. You evolve without guidance. Your world is a danger to the balance." Carson's voice stayed steady. Maybe the balance needed a little shaking. The transmission cut. Silence hung over the fleet. The alien ships began to move again, not to attack, but to create a glowing gate above Earth's orbit. It twisted open like a scar in space, light spilling out from another dimension. Through it came a massive ship larger than mountains. Its hull bore markings of judgment and authority. The Galactic Council's High Court had arrived. Within minutes, the human leadership was summoned. The warships stood still watching. Then, as if by some invisible agreement, the Council's gravity lock seized the Vigilant, pulling it into the gate. Carson watched Earth shrink behind him, the blue oceans fading into darkness. "Keep transmitting," he ordered. "Let them see everything that happens next." When the gate closed, the fleet vanished. In the endless black, the ship emerged inside a chamber that wasn't space as humans understood it. It was the Judgment Nexus, an artificial reality built by thousands of alien minds, designed to hold entire star systems in suspension. Rows upon rows of alien representatives floated around a central spire of light. They came from hundreds of species, silicate, vaporous, aquatic, crystalline. Each one turned to face the humans as the Vigilant was drawn into the center. Carson stood with 2 others, Ambassador Lena Torres and Commander Halen. The light surrounded them, pressing down with invisible weight. The speaker's voice echoed again. Species 626A, identified as human. You are accused of dangerous evolution, planetary aggression, and unregulated technological advancement. You will answer before the council. Torres looked around, her eyes calm but sharp. We've come to answer, she said. But if you're going to accuse an entire world, then listen carefully. You've only seen what we build, not what we endure. The chamber's temperature dropped slightly, signaling disapproval. A dozen alien voices murmured together. Your endurance is irrelevant. The Galactic Order requires control. Halen stepped forward. Control is another word for fear. You're afraid of us. The speaker's form flickered. Afraid? Torres nodded slowly. Yes. You've seen how we fight wars, how we survive planets that would kill your kind in seconds. You've studied us for centuries, and yet you still don't understand us. You can't predict us, and that terrifies you. The council's lights flared, voices overlapping. Humans are unstable, unmeasured. You destroy even as you create. Then measure us, Torres said. You claim to be scientists, scholars, and judges. So do what you do best. Study one of us. Test our limits. Find the truth before you pass judgment. The hall fell silent. The speaker tilted its shimmering head. You would allow this? Carson spoke quietly. We already have. He activated a small projection on his wrist. A holographic feed flickered to life in the center of the chamber. It showed a sterile alien laboratory, with researchers standing around a transparent containment field. Inside sat a young human girl with calm brown eyes and an expression that carried both curiosity and danger. This, Carson said, is Mira, the first human admitted to the Galactic Medical Academy. She volunteered for your tests. You wanted to know what makes a Deathworld species different? Watch. The aliens leaned forward. The hologram expanded, filling the chamber with light. The scene came alive, the scientists preparing their instruments, whispering among themselves about human physiology. The speaker raised a hand. Proceed. On the recording, Mira looked up. Is this where you find out if I break? She asked softly. The lead researcher, Dr. Kareth, nodded. We will measure your physical and cognitive thresholds. Do you consent? Mira smiled faintly. Do your worst. The aliens in the council chamber shifted uneasily as the test began. Electrodes attached to her skin, scanners humming. Numbers filled the air, her heartbeat, her temperature, her neural activity all rising. Then, for the first time in centuries, the council chamber grew truly quiet. Torres looked at the speaker. You came here to judge our world. You called us dangerous, reckless, unfit to stand among you. But you have no idea what humanity is. The speaker said nothing. The recording continued. Mira sat perfectly still as the instruments glowed brighter and brighter, reading levels that defied the limits of known biology. One of the alien researchers whispered, This cannot be correct. The energy feedback is off the charts. Then the monitors began to smoke. Dr. Kareth shouted orders. Stabilize the sensors. Mira looked up at him, calm, unblinking. You can't measure a storm with a candle. The lights in the council chamber flickered. The hologram shimmered with static, as if whatever energy had been unleashed in the recording was bleeding through the projection itself. The speaker leaned forward. What happened next? Torres looked him in the eye. You'll see. But I'll warn you now, the sensors burned out. And as the recording static filled the vast chamber, the faces of hundreds of alien representatives reflected the same emotion. Fear. For the first time, the Galactic Council realized that the smallest world in the known galaxy might hold the most dangerous beings ever born. The alien fleet reappeared without warning. Silent and vast, their black ships emerged from subspace right above Mars' orbit, their formation spreading like a shadow over the red planet. Every human colony scrambled to power its shields, alarms screaming through underground bases and orbital docks. From the command center on the Vigilant, Admiral Rafe Carson stared at the tactical display. The pattern was unmistakable. The Galactic Council had returned. This time they weren't here for judgment. They were here to prove dominance. Carson turned toward his crew. Signal Earth Command. All fleets go to Alert Level 9. If they want to test us again, we'll show them what human adaptation looks like. As the orders spread through the communication web, engines across dozens of human warships roared to life. Massive carriers unfolded their wings of steel, Destroyers aligned in perfect formations, and the new generation of stealth cruisers vanished into cloaked silence. The human fleet no longer fought for survival. They fought with purpose. From orbit, the alien flagship sent a warning beam. It struck Mars's atmosphere and dispersed into 1,000,000 fragments of light. No explosion followed. The beam had scanned the planet instead of attacking it. Carson frowned. "They're mapping us. Testing reaction speed. Should we engage?" The tactical officer asked. He shook his head. "Not yet. Let them think we're predictable." A few minutes later, the alien fleet's lead ship transmitted a message directly to Earth Command. The holographic image of the Council's speaker appeared, its shimmering form surrounded by light. "Your experiment has exceeded containment parameters. Subject Mira has not returned any data. The Galactic Council demands immediate surrender of all human research connected to her. Failure to comply will be considered a breach of interstellar law." In the command center beneath Geneva, General Imani folded her arms. "They want Mira," she said quietly. "But we don't even know what happened after the sensors burned out." The Council's image glared at her. "You have unleashed something dangerous. Even we cannot detect her signal." Imani kept her composure. "Then you admit your technology failed?" The alien light pulsed in irritation. "You do not understand the threat." Imani's voice was calm. "We understand perfectly. That's why we trained her." The hologram flickered out. Silence filled the room. Back aboard the Vigilant, Carson leaned forward. "Prepare the data channel. We're sending them the next recording." The second transmission of Mira's experiment began. The Galactic Council watched in their chamber of light as the footage resumed from where it had cut off. Mira was still sitting calmly in the containment room, her hands resting on her knees. Around her, alien students moved nervously, their instruments crackling. The sensors had failed once already, and Dr. Kareth had spent hours recalibrating the systems. "Begin second phase," he ordered, his voice tight. The alien observers whispered from behind a protective barrier. She endured gravity simulation beyond known limits. Her bone density is impossible. Kareth ignored them and signaled the control board. The floor of the chamber began to glow as the artificial gravity field intensified. The numbers rose 10 times 20, 40 Earth gravities. The metal walls trembled. Any normal being would have been crushed instantly. Mira did not move. Sweat gathered at Kareth's brow. "Increase to 60, he said. A nervous assistant stammered, "Doctor, she could die." Kareth's eyes narrowed. "She's not dying. She's adapting." The room shook violently. Readings spiked, red warnings flashed across the screens. Mira raised her head slowly, her eyes glowing faintly gold. She stood up. Her motion was smooth, effortless, as if gravity itself had surrendered. The assistants backed away. "This isn't possible," one whispered. Mira spoke softly, her voice steady. "You wanted to see how far I could go. Keep watching." Dr. Kareth froze. The energy field flickered uncontrollably, the entire chamber resonating with strange frequencies. It wasn't gravity anymore, it was something else. The sensors detected unknown radiation patterns emerging from Mira's body, oscillating like a heartbeat through space-time itself. Suddenly, all systems failed again. The lights dimmed. A blinding white pulse surged through the control panels, throwing sparks into the air. The aliens screamed, shielding their faces. When the emergency lights returned, Mira was still standing. The chamber's walls were scorched, the air shimmered with heat. Kareth stared at her in shock. "What are you?" Mira's answer was quiet, almost gentle. "Human." The recording froze for a moment, the feed distorted by residual interference. In the council chamber, the delegates muttered nervously. "She emits energy. She changes the physical constants of her environment." Another delegate hissed. "If she can affect fields like that, she could destroy entire ecosystems." Ambassador Torres stood at the center of the chamber, her voice firm. "You called us dangerous. Now you know why." The speaker glared at her. "You boast of power that cannot be controlled. You endanger the galaxy." Torres shook her head. "No, we only adapt to what threatens us." You pushed, and she pushed back harder. "That's what survival means where we come from." The speaker's voice deepened. "Where's the human girl now?" Torres hesitated. "We lost contact with her after the test, but we believe she's alive." The council erupted in noise. "Alive? She disappeared." "You cannot hide her from us." Kareth's image appeared on one of the large projections. His voice was shaken, weary. "I was there. She did not vanish. She walked out of the containment room. Every door she passed malfunctioned. The energy she released destroyed our equipment, yet she never attacked us. She only said one thing before she left. The speaker demanded, "What did she say?" Kareth's voice cracked. She said, "You measure life with numbers. That's why you'll never understand it." The council fell silent. Even the shimmering light at the center of the chamber dimmed slightly. Ambassador Torres took a slow breath. "You see now? Humanity isn't your enemy, but we won't let you cage us either." The speaker spoke again after a long pause. "Your species threatens equilibrium. The council cannot allow this. If the human girl reappears, she must be contained." Back on the Vigilant, the crew watched the live broadcast from the council chamber. Carson's voice was grim. "They're preparing sanctions. If we don't surrender Mira, they'll block Earth from every trade route in the galaxy." Commander Halen frowned. "That won't stop them. They're scared. Fear always leads to war," Carson nodded. "Then we prepare. Deploy the Sentinel platforms around Luna. Activate stealth barriers. If they come, they'll find us ready." The tension in space grew like a storm. Across the solar system, human fleets moved into defensive formation. Orbital cannons aligned, drone swarms armed themselves, and communication relays hummed with encrypted orders. Humanity, once isolated, was now a single machine of survival and defiance. Meanwhile, deep in the dark void beyond Jupiter's orbit, sensors detected an anomaly. A small human shuttle drifted near a broken asteroid field. Inside it, Mira sat quietly, staring out at the stars. Her body still glowed faintly in the dark, the energy within her pulsing slowly like a heartbeat. She whispered to herself, "They still don't understand." The test was never about endurance. It was about limits. Her voice echoed in the small cabin. The ship's sensors flickered, unable to register her exact biosignature. She closed her eyes and the stars outside seemed to shift slightly, bending as if gravity itself obeyed her thought. Far away, the Council's long-range scanners suddenly failed for 6 seconds. Every instrument designed to monitor the solar system went blind. When they recovered, Mira was gone. In the Chamber of Judgment, the speaker stared at the empty readings. "Find her," he ordered, "before she finds us." But even as he spoke, a faint transmission came through the deep space channel. A human code, ancient and simple. It repeated only 2 words before fading completely. Testing complete. And somewhere in the cold, endless dark, a human girl smiled as the stars themselves seemed to tremble. The alien armada came again, larger than before. It moved through the void like a living storm. Hundreds of warships aligned in perfect symmetry. The flagship of the Galactic Council, the Orion Prime, led the formation toward Earth. Its engines glowed with energy strong enough to split continents. The Council had run out of patience. They would not negotiate this time. They would erase the source of their fear. Inside Earth's orbit, human fleets were already waiting. Thousands of ships stood ready. Carriers, destroyers, stealth corvettes, and automated defense satellites. The command hub on the moon glowed with signal lights as orders flashed between fleets. Admiral Rafe Carson stood in the middle of the tactical room, staring at the 3-dimensional map of space. The alien ships glimmered like fireflies against the deep dark. "Status report," Carson said. "All defense systems active, sir. Lunar shields at full strength. Earth's ion cannons charged and ready." He looked at the live feed from the alien armada. Their formation was perfect. Every ship connected by luminous threads of energy. It was not an attack group, it was a single machine. The Council's technology had evolved beyond anything the galaxy had seen. But humanity had evolved too. Carson turned to his crew. "They still think we fight with force. Let's remind them what intelligence looks like." At his signal, the human fleet shifted into 3-dimensional combat layers. Cloaked ships vanished into the dark. Electronic jammers activated. Thousands of false signals spread through the alien systems like wildfire. Within minutes, the Council fleet's sensors flickered with confusion. Inside the Orion Prime, alien officers shouted over each other. Multiple human fleets detected at every vector. The commander of the Council fleet frowned. "That's impossible. They don't have that many ships." "It's interference," another voice said. "They're creating echoes." "Ghost fleets," the commander's eyes narrowed. "Clever creatures." He turned to his communications officer. "Broadcast to the planet. We will end this now." A massive beam of light shot out from the alien flagship, forming a projection above Earth's atmosphere. The speaker's voice echoed across every human communication channel. "Humanity of Earth, your defiance has gone too far. You have created weapons beyond your control. Surrender your experiments or your world will be reduced to silence." Carson listened calmly and then sent a direct reply. "We don't surrender. If you want to understand what we are, come and learn the hard way." The speaker's glow dimmed for a moment. "So be it." The alien fleet fired. Thousands of plasma lances crossed space, striking Earth's upper atmosphere. The human defense grid flared with blue light, absorbing the impact. Energy rippled across the planet's magnetic field, lighting up the night sky with artificial auroras. Inside the moon base, scientists scrambled to keep the grid stable. "We're holding, Admiral, but their power is off the scale." Carson stared at the readings. "Then we stopped playing defense." He gave the order. From behind the moon, dozens of human warships emerged. They were small, sleek, and completely silent. Their hulls shimmered with adaptive camouflage. Each ship carried a single payload, a dark energy disruptor designed to target the Council's neural communication system. As the alien fleet continued firing, the human ships moved undetected, slipping between sensor shadows. When they reached optimal range, they released their payloads. Invisible waves pulsed through the void, spreading like ripples in water. Inside the Orion Prime, alarms went off. "We're losing synchronization," an officer yelled. "Our fleet network is breaking apart." The commander slammed his claws against the console. "How can they disrupt our neural link?" A scientist responded, terrified. "They are using energy we've never seen before, frequency beyond our sensors. It's adapting midwave." The commander glared into the void, where tiny human ships glimmered briefly before vanishing again. "Adaptive technology, of course. They copied our patterns and learned." Carson watched from his flagship as the alien formation began to lose cohesion. "They built their empire on control," he said quietly. "Let's see how they fight without it." Human fleets moved in, striking at weak points. Missiles streaked through the dark. Railguns tore across space. The once perfect alien machine turned chaotic. Ships collided, communication broke down, and the mighty fleet that had once silenced galaxies began to fall apart. But then, something unexpected happened. The alien flagship stopped moving. Every remaining ship halted mid-space. A voice filled every channel once again, deeper this time, filled with something close to rage. "You misunderstand our purpose," the speaker said. "You think this is war. It is containment." Carson frowned. "Containment of what?" The stars around the alien fleet began to twist. A pulse of golden energy spread outward, tearing through subspace. Every human ship's sensors went blank. Then from the distortion something appeared. It was a holographic figure, enormous and bright, made of shifting energy. A human silhouette. A woman standing in the void between fleets. Mira. The alien fleet froze. The speaker's light dimmed as if in fear. She should not be here. Mira's voice echoed across the comms, clear and steady. "You tried to measure me. You failed. Now you want to measure my world?" Carson stared at her projection, astonished. "Mira, how are you here?" Her gaze turned toward the human fleet. "Not here, everywhere. They tried to break me down into data, and now I am part of it. I am in their machines, their frequencies, their light." The alien commander shouted, "Deactivate the projection. She is interfering with our control systems." But it was too late. Mira's energy reached into the alien ships, corrupting their networks. The very systems they used to dominate others were now turning against them. The speaker's voice trembled for the first time. "You are destabilizing the Nexus field. You will destroy everything." Mira's tone remained calm. "You created the field to contain what you feared. Maybe it's time you face it." One by one, the alien ships began to lose power. Their weapons shut down, shields flickered, and engines failed. In contrast, the human ships glowed brighter, their systems resonating with the same energy Mira emitted. Carson turned to his communications officer. "Is she helping us?" The officer shook his head. "It's more than that. She's rewriting the laws of engagement. Our ships are operating beyond physical thresholds. Gravity, inertia, even time delay. She's bending all of it." The speaker's hologram grew unstable, flickering in and out. "You will unmake reality itself." Mira smiled faintly. "Reality needs a little rebuilding." Then, with a single gesture, she reached toward the alien flagship. The Orion Prime's hull cracked like glass. Energy surged through it, dissolving metal into light. Within seconds, the largest ship in the galaxy was gone. disintegrated without a sound. The remaining alien ships fled, retreating into the void. The speaker's last transmission echoed across the fading frequencies. "You cannot exist. You will destroy everything you touch." Mira's voice replied softly. "We only destroy chains." As silence settled over the battlefield, the human fleet slowly powered down. The stars returned to normal. The distortions faded. Carson stood in awe. What just happened? His sensor officer answered quietly. "She saved us. And maybe something more than that." A faint transmission came through the static. It was Mira's voice, gentle and distant. "Tell them. The test is still running." Then the signal vanished completely. Across the galaxy, every species that had once feared humans now whispered in silence. The Galactic Council no longer had an answer. Their strongest fleet had fallen. Their greatest technology had failed. And somewhere beyond the edge of known space, the Deathworld girl still existed, unseen, unmeasured, and limitless. The alien fleet appeared over Earth without warning. One moment, the night sky was calm. The next, it split apart with glowing fractures of light. Thousands of ships poured through, surrounding the planet in perfect formation. Their hulls shimmered like liquid metal, reflecting lightning that wasn't there. The invasion had begun silently, without threats or broadcasts. It was as if the universe itself had turned against humanity. From orbit, Earth looked trapped under a cage of light. Every communication channel was jammed. Every satellite signal was muted. The fleet's energy field extended down to the atmosphere, creating storms across continents. In a command center buried beneath the Pacific Ocean, Commander Ilara Voss stood before a holographic display showing the entire planet covered in red markers. "Contact with the colonies on Mars and Europa lost," her officer reported. "The alien formation is blocking all long-range communication." "They're isolating Earth," Ilara's eyes narrowed. "Isolation before eradication. They want us cut off before the strike." She turned toward the scientists behind her. "How long before the planetary defense grid charges?" 8 minutes, Commander. The grid is unstable. The storms are interfering with power relays." 8 minutes was a lifetime in orbital combat. The alien ships were already aligning for bombardment, their weapons charged silently, glowing like stars being born. Every human defense satellite had already gone dark. It looked hopeless. But Ilara wasn't watching the main fleet. Her eyes focused on a faint movement behind Jupiter's orbit. "Are the Phantom Wings in position?" she asked. The communications officer nodded. "They're waiting for your signal. But Commander, if they fire from that distance, the enemy will trace the launch path back to them." "That's the plan," Ilara said. The officer stared at her, realizing what she meant. The Phantom Wings weren't just soldiers, they were bait. Outside the solar system, a small group of stealth cruisers hovered in the dark void. Their hulls were coated with experimental material that made them invisible to most sensors. Their mission was simple: draw the enemy's attention long enough for Earth's defense grid to activate. They knew they wouldn't return. Ilara pressed her hand against the command console. "This is Commander Voss to the Phantom Wings. You have authorization to proceed." A voice came through, steady but tired. "Understood, Commander. See you on the other side." The transmission ended. Moments later, streaks of blue light flashed near Jupiter. The Phantom Wings fired their plasma lances into the void, targeting the edge of the alien formation. The shots were precise, tearing through 2 enemy cruisers. The rest of the alien fleet turned instantly, splitting their formation to intercept the threat. "Target response confirmed," Ilara said. They took the bait. But as the alien fleet shifted, new readings appeared on the sensors. Unknown energy signatures formed around the edges of the solar system. The fleet wasn't just reacting, they were creating something. One of the scientists gasped. "They're deploying a dimensional anchor. If it stabilizes, we won't be able to move ships in or out of the system." "They're trapping us permanently." Ilara's voice was calm. "Then we cut it off before it finishes." She turned to her tactical officer. "Ready the planetary grid, but it's not fully charged. Then it'll have to be enough." The officer hesitated only a moment before obeying. "Grid activation in 3, 2, 1. The Earth's surface lit up like dawn. Lines of energy spread across continents, linking every major city, power plant, and orbital cannon. A wave of electromagnetic force burst outward, slicing through the alien field. The storms cleared for an instant. Then the grid fired. From orbit, it looked like the planet had become a weapon. Blue-white beams erupted from the surface, converging into a single pulse that shot upward and struck the center of the alien formation. The explosion didn't create fire or light, it bent space itself. The energy field shattered, and hundreds of alien ships were torn apart instantly. "Direct hit," the officer said in disbelief. "The formation's breaking!" But Ilara didn't relax. "No, they're adapting." The surviving alien ships changed shape, their hulls rippling like liquid. They reformed into a single, massive construct, a colossal machine surrounding the planet, forming what looked like a glowing sphere. The scientist whispered, "They're using the debris as raw material. They're building something." The sphere pulsed once, sending a wave of gravity that rippled through the oceans and mountains. Cities shook. The command center's lights flickered. "Commander," the officer shouted, "they're generating a compression field." "They're going to crush the planet from orbit." Ilara clenched her fists. "Then we break their machine before it completes." She accessed the defense network manually, linking every remaining satellite to a single control interface. "Prepare the mirror strike protocol." The technician's voice trembled. "That's still experimental. It could fry our own systems." "It will," she said. "But if we don't, there won't be anything left to fry." The mirror strike was a desperate idea, using Earth's atmosphere as a reflective surface to bounce concentrated plasma fire from orbital cannons into space. No one had ever tried it. The calculations were uncertain. A single misfire could vaporize entire regions. Ilara entered the final command code. "This is for the Phantom Wings," she said softly. The command center fell silent. Then, the world ignited. Columns of plasma rose from Earth's surface, reflected by the ionized upper atmosphere, and redirected toward the alien construct. The light was blinding. The entire sky burned blue as the energy curved upward and struck the sphere. The alien machine trembled. Cracks of white light spread across its surface. For the first time, the alien fleet showed something close to panic. Ships tried to detach, but the structure's gravity field held them in place. Then, with a soundless flash, the sphere imploded. Shockwaves rippled through orbit. Fragments of alien metal rained into Earth's atmosphere like meteors. The compression field collapsed, freeing the planet. "Target destroyed," the officer yelled. Cheers erupted across the command center, but Ilara didn't smile. The energy readings were still climbing. "No," she whispered. "It's not over." The scientist looked at the data. "The remains of the sphere are forming a singularity. It's going to pull everything into it." Ilara turned to the room. "All ships, retreat trajectory to lunar orbit. Get every civilian off planet." "But what about you, Commander?" "I'll handle the core." She locked the control systems and overrode all safety protocols. A transport capsule sealed her inside the command platform. As it detached from the base, she rose through the ocean toward the surface, her capsule glowing as it broke through the waves. Above her, the singularity spun, black and alive. The alien fleet's remnants were being drawn in, twisted apart by their own weapon. But the pull was growing stronger. Soon it would take Earth too. Ilara reached orbit and activated the emergency relay at the capsule's heart. "If this works," she said to no one, "it'll take me with it." The relay began to hum, creating a distortion field opposite to the singularity's rotation. The two forces met, clawing at each other, space tearing open between them. In the last moments, she saw the alien ships burning, their lights flickering out like dying stars. She saw Earth glowing below, whole and alive. Then everything went white. When the light faded, the singularity was gone. The alien fleet was gone, and so was Ilara Voss. Days later, as humanity restored contact with the colonies, the Galactic Council received a transmission from the edge of the system. It contained no video, only sound, a faint heartbeat echoing through static. Scientists claimed it was interference. But others believed it was her, the woman who turned the planet into a weapon and faced the void alone. And somewhere beyond the stars, a new light appeared. Something bright, pulsing with rhythm, orbiting in silence. It was not a ship. It was not a star. It was something in between, a human signal that refused to fade. The sky over the galactic capital burned red as alarms echoed through the halls of the council chamber. The largest fleet in known history, 2,000 ships from 10 different species, was in chaos. They had surrounded a single human vessel, the Vigilant Dawn, which hovered motionless in the center of space like a wounded predator. Its hull was cracked, its engines silent, but somehow it still emitted a faint energy pulse that disrupted every ship's systems. Inside the chamber, alien envoys shouted over one another. Panic, fear, and disbelief filled the air. "They should be dead," hissed the blue-skinned Thalro representative. "That ship was destroyed 3 times. "They defied gravity itself," said another. "Their engines broke physical law." At the center of the council floor, High Chancellor Vorth raised a trembling hand. "Silence!" The noise died instantly. He turned to the hologram projected in the air, a live feed of the human ship surrounded by the alien armada. "Explain," he said to his military advisor. "Why does it still move?" The advisor hesitated. "The humans call it the Echo Drive, Chancellor. It bends time. We do not understand how it works." Vorth's voice lowered. "Then destroy it before they use it again." Outside, in the cold void, the alien fleets opened fire. Thousands of plasma bolts and energy beams converged on the vigilant dawn. The impact lit up space like a miniature sun. Every alien monitor recorded the explosion. Every commander reported success. Then the light faded. The ship was still there, intact. And something new was forming around it, a shimmering distortion, like a reflection on rippling water. The human captain's voice cut through every channel in the sector. "This is Captain Mira Holt of the United Earth Fleet. You have mistaken mercy for weakness. You come to judge us, to cage us, to test us. You have no idea what we've survived." Her voice was calm, steady, the kind of calm that made even hardened soldiers shiver. "Earth was born on a Deathworld," she continued. "We were forged by fire, hunger, and storms. You think you can crush us with numbers? You don't understand. Humans don't break. We adapt." The distortion around the ship flared brighter and the alien scanners began to fail. Systems crashed. Weapon locks vanished. The fleet's targeting arrays spun wildly. "Commander," one alien shouted. "Our energy readings, everything's inverted. It's feeding on our power." The fleets tried to pull back, but the distortion spread like a growing storm. Ships began to vanish. Not destroyed, but erased, as though space itself forgot they existed. Inside the council chamber, chaos erupted again. "It's the same energy signature from the eclipse incident," screamed a scientist. "They used the same crystal, the one we forbade them from studying." Vorth turned sharply. "That crystal was destroyed years ago." "No," the scientist whispered. "They rebuilt it." The council chamber's glass dome shook as the energy from orbit pulsed through the city. In the distance, the human ship's reflection multiplied until there were hundreds. Ghost images surrounding the alien fleets from every direction. No one could tell which one was real. "Open communications," Vorth commanded. The channel flickered to life. Mira's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired but fierce, her eyes glowing faintly with the same light as the distortion field. "Chancellor Vorth," she said, "you wanted to test humanity's limits. You wanted to see how far a Deathworld species could go. You're about to find out." Vorth tried to stay composed. "You've stolen forbidden power. That crystal belongs to the builders. You can't control it." Mira tilted her head. "Maybe not. But control isn't what humans do best. We improvise." The transmission cut. In orbit, the vigilant dawn moved for the first time. Its engines ignited, not with flame but with liquid light. The distortion field expanded until it consumed half the battlefield. Alien ships inside the zone lost all sense of direction. Their own shots turned back on them. Time seemed to twist. Ships exploded before the weapons that hit them were fired. The galactic fleets tried to retreat, but space itself bent like glass under pressure. The humans weren't attacking. They were rewriting the battlefield. The council watched in horror. Every camera feed distorted. Every transmission turned into static. Then the chamber's floor began to shake. The capital itself was reacting to the energy surge. The scientist fell to his knees. "The humans are using the builder core as an amplifier. They're not fighting us, they're ascending." "What does that mean?" Vorth shouted. "It means," the scientist whispered, "they're becoming something we cannot measure." Meanwhile, on the vigilant dawn, Captain Mira stood on the bridge. Her crew worked in silence, their faces illuminated by the white light flooding through every panel. "Status?" she asked. Her lieutenant replied. "All systems merged. The drive is synchronized with planetary resonance. We're linked to every human settlement across the stars. We can't shut it down now." Mira closed her eyes. "Then we finish what they started." The ship rose higher beyond normal orbit. Its light grew until it outshone the capital's twin suns. For a moment, the entire galaxy seemed to hold its breath. Then a pulse of energy spread outward faster than light. It didn't destroy, it revealed. Across the galaxy, ancient ruins flickered to life. Buried monoliths rose from forgotten worlds. The builders' old technology awoke, responding to the human signal. Every civilization's instruments recorded the same impossible message. Homo sapiens recognized. Genetic code verified. Access granted. Every council member froze. For thousands of years, the builders had been a myth, an extinct civilization that created the first hyperlanes and vanished. Now the truth hit them like a storm. The builders weren't gone. They had left a successor. Humanity. The alien fleets fell silent. The human ship dimmed, its glow fading into the void. The distortion field collapsed. What remained was a quiet, peaceful stillness. On the bridge, Mira looked down at Earth, now shining brighter than ever. "It's over," she whispered. Her lieutenant asked softly, "What happens now?" She smiled faintly. "Now they decide whether to fear us or follow us." In the council chamber, Vorth stood speechless. Around him, holograms of other species flickered in confusion. The message had reached them all. The builders' systems recognized humanity as their rightful heirs. A single line of text appeared across every galactic database. Council authority suspended pending confirmation of new primary species. Mira's ship slowly turned toward the capital world. The alien fleets parted, their weapons lowered. No one dared to fire again. Her voice came through every channel. "We didn't come for conquest. We came for truth. You feared what you didn't understand. You called us monsters because we survive what others can't. But you forget. Everything that grows stronger in chaos was once weak." She paused, letting her words sink in. "Earth was your test. Humanity was your answer." The transmission ended. The vigilant dawn disappeared in a flash of white light, leaving behind a faint echo that lingered in subspace like a heartbeat. The Galactic Council collapsed within the week. Entire fleets defected, pledging allegiance to the new order, the human dominion. But unlike the empires before them, the humans didn't demand tribute or worship. They demanded understanding, cooperation, growth. Decades later, historians would call it the turning point, the moment when the galaxy realized that the most dangerous species it had ever feared was also the one destined to lead it. And in the far reaches of deep space, long after the war ended, strange signals continued to echo, human voices intertwined with the builder frequency. Some said it was just static. Others believed it was something else, a reminder that the Deathworld species had not just survived. They had ascended,